Okay, guys, so with Bitcoin, I think everyone's accepted at this point that we're in a bear market. And looking back, it was quite obvious to see that the bear market started once we got two weekly closes below the 50-week EMA, which was our line in the sand in the bull market. If you're looking back, the 50-week EMA was supported so many times. Over here, over here, over here, and if we move further along, even when the tariffs happened, we did not close below the 50-week EMA. We actually tapped it twice to form a double bottom. So once we lost it in November, and I said this in a video, this is really bad. And we actually went back up to it and flipped into resistance. So what are we looking at now? Like, we've kind of accepted that this is a bear market. We need to see, we don't want to fight against the trend because the price can keep going down. You can see here, even here, it's struggling to hold the 200-week EMA. So we need to see, okay, we don't want to fight against the trend because the trend is your friend until the trend ends. As the price is going up, you don't want to fight the trend. So now we're in quite a big downtrend. You don't want to fight against that until you see signs that the trend is reversing. So what are these signs? Okay, so what we want to see is price accumulation. We want to see decreased volatility in a range, which shows that smart money is buying, and we want to see bad news, but we want to see price to fail to go lower on this bad news. So let me show you, for example, in 2022, we had a lot of bad news. We had this capitulation candle, China selling Bitcoin, banning Bitcoin mining, I think it was. Look at this weekly candle. Inside this weekly candle, we start accumulating. So we have this weekly candle, then we have the FTX crash here, but the price fails to go too much lower, it fails to make a big leg down, and we have this low volatility over here, which is accumulation. Here, the institutions are coming in and deciding to buy, whilst retail is actually scared to buy because of the bad news. But the bad news fails to make the price to go lower. And we see this tight, low volatility in this range. For how long was it? About 260 days. Price fails to break out. It stays below 25k for that long of a time. So, like when the bottom is actually in, it's going to be a slow process. People are going to get bored and leave the market like they did during this time in the 2022 bear market. So we're looking for something similar. Let's say accumulation has already started. We're going to see accumulation inside this candle between 79k and 60k over here. And it could last for a long time. Let's say, for example, 200 days. Could last for a very long time, and we could get bad news during this time. But if we're getting bad news and the price fails to go lower, say it does something like this. Say it goes like this, then we get some really bad news, but then it just bounces up like this. That's your sign of accumulation, that the market is forming a bottom and is forming a strong base to where we can start to go up again. So it could even do something like this and just start to go up again. So market bottoms, traditionally, they're not quick. They're very slow. They get people bored they get people to exit the market. So we are just looking for that volatility compression and that accumulation. But the accumulation might not even happen at these levels that we're at right now. It could happen even lower. And to give you specific price targets, We've lost this. So when Trump won the election in 2024, we had this Bitcoin strategic reserve level. The price really rallied. Here at 68K, really rallied. But these promises didn't really come to fruition. So that's why the value of Bitcoin is now back under the Bitcoin strategic reserve open, because the Bitcoin strategic reserve never really happened. So another level I'm looking at here is this ETF open level, when the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF started trading. Now, this actually was a real event that came into fruition since beginning of 2024. We've had a lot of institutional buyers and buyers who wouldn't have been able to get into Bitcoin otherwise, but they've gone into Bitcoin through the stock market, through the Bitcoin ETF. That gives Bitcoin a whole lot of new demand. So these buyers have been accumulating during this whole time. So you wouldn't expect, with all things equal, now that Bitcoin has an ETF, you would not expect the valuation to be under, but you wouldn't expect the valuation to be lower than when Bitcoin didn't have an ETF, because now you have this new ETF demand. You see what I mean? So we could get accumulation much lower, but I do not expect the price to go below this ETF open at 46 to 47K. So with Bitcoin, it's not a bad time to buy. If we look at the Fear and Greed Index, it's at 8. This is objectively a decent level to buy. Uh, you know, when we are extreme fear, where were we? So 80K, 85K, 60K, 30K. When people are in fear, it's always a good idea to buy. But that doesn't mean the price can't go lower. You don't want to fade the trend. You don't want to catch a falling knife. So we want to see this volatility compression, and it could be anywhere, anywhere between this current level and 47K. So I would say, just wait and see what happens with Bitcoin.